Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner. In today's video, I thought I would show you a new way that I learned to bind a journal. It's a new way to me. I believe it's probably been around for a really long time, but I love the way the spine of the journal looks. One of the names that I saw this binding called is a slip knot binding. The other thing I saw was it called a no-sew binding. But isn't it neat the way it looks? I've left the strings on the top of the little journal intact just in case I want to add some dangles to it. And it's not decorated at all yet. I'm going to be adding pockets, of course, flip outs. I do have some pockets already in the little journal itself, but it's not decorated at all. So I'm going to show you how to do this kind of binding. Now, for it, I think you need a cardstock. You need something thick or substantial. I don't think plain paper will work. And I already have some here. This one, I did go ahead and glue them together. And what you will need is cardstock that is 10 inches by 7 inches. That's what I decided to make my journal dimensions. And now on the one that I showed you over here, I just glued the pages together. Like what I did is, this is 10 inches by 7 inches. I took the pages, I put glue in the center, and that is one page. But I thought, let me see if I can do it to where I can add other pages in between. Like for instance, this page here, this is Florentine paper, which would be very fragile if I used it alone and I tried to pull that wax thread through it. I don't know if it would hold up. But if I put the Florentine paper in between there and then sew those, I thought, let's see if that works. It doesn't work, so only use cardstock. This one, I did a little divot there. And so that's going to be a top loading pocket. So what I need to do is add glue along the side here and then the bottom. And a little bit down here. And so that's going to be a top loading pocket. And then here is a side loading pocket. So then we need to add glue on the top and the bottom. Let me move these other pages out of the way, just so I don't accidentally get glue on them. So this is just cardstock that you can either purchase at Hobby Lobby. Some of it may be some Stampin' Up! Cardstock that I've had forever, but it's a good way to use some of that up because most of the time in our journals, we don't use this thick stuff anymore. But I thought for this kind of a little bitty December daily, it would be perfect. I believe all of these are the ones that I glued down. So again, I took a piece of 10 inches by 7 inches and glued them together. So they're very substantial. I thought I would just show you so that I was clear on what you need to do. 10 inches by 7 inches, fold it in half, and then you're going to glue the two together just to give it a lot of strength. Because with this type of binding, your paper needs to be substantial and not prone to tearing. The other thing, and you guys have heard me say this over and over again, because I'm using Beacon's 3-in-1 glue, and it is a solvent glue as opposed to a water-based glue, my paper will not warp. So then all you have to do is just glue those two together. Okay, and I will let this dry just a little bit before I poke my holes. The next thing you're going to do is punch your holes, and I've already started on one of them. What I did is I took this one that was already glued together. It's 7 inches in height. I took my Tim Holtz ruler, I centered it, and so then I marked with a pencil here in the center, and I put in a hole there, and I used my crocodile, and I used the smallest hole. You know, on the crocodile, you have either this big hole or the smaller hole, and I decided to use the smaller hole. That's what I used in this journal here, and it worked perfectly. So then, like I said, I marked a hole in the center and then evenly spaced it on either side. And so then I will use this as the template. So like I said, on this one, I've got a piece of ledger paper in the center. What I'm going to do is lay this one over the top, hold it in place, and then use my crocodile and just make sure that I've got that centered good, and then just punch the other hole on top of it. Take your time. There. And then let me just hold that. Okay, so that's even. And then what I will do is set this one off to the side and just use this one again. So I'm going to go through all of these pages and cut out the holes, and then I'll be back with you guys. I have punched out all of the holes and put them in the order that I want the signatures to be. And I have cut off some waxed thread. This is what it is here. I do have this down in the description box, you guys. It is a set of 42 different colors. I think it runs about $25, which is like 59 cents a roll. And so that's very inexpensive, I feel. And you're going to want to make sure that you pull off enough, because when I was doing the other journal, I had not cut off enough and I ran out and I had to undo everything and redo it. Now, for this many signatures, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But remember, there are some double pages in there. You want to make sure for the journal you make, if you want it to be a December daily, you've got 31 pages at least. So what I've done is I've cut off 33 inches of the wax thread, and you're going to need to fold it in half. And for each of those holes, you're going to need one. So you're going to need a total of 3 of these. So 33 inches total, and then you're going to fold it in half. And you're going to start from the back and go to the front. Okay, so there I've got my threads. I'm going to set these over to the side, and I'm going to bring my first one in. And so you have it folded over. What you're going to do, it's very easy. You're going to go through the hole, grab a hold of it, open it up, bring the other thread through it, and then pull it. It's that easy. I was shocked at how easy this was to do this kind of binding. I think the wax thread works the best because it will stay kind of taut on its own, because the thread is going to kind of grab a hold of the other one. So again, thread it through, pull your double thread in between that loop, and then pull it tight. And then our last one. And as I was working on that other one, I found some ways to make it easier so I didn't get kind of confused. So you're going to pull each one, have your thread to the left, grab your next set, your signature, and you're going to pick up your first set of strings. You're going to go through the top. And what I found easier is to spread those two apart, so that when you take the two ends, run it through the top, through that double hole or the one hole. If you just pull it through, you've already looped it around. So once again, you're going to pull your threads, bring them over toward you or toward the right, and then go ahead and open them up. And you're going to have one going toward the top and one going toward the bottom. You're going to take your ends, thread them through that hole, and they kind of split sometimes. Sometimes the thread splits, and then what I did is just, if I needed to, I trimmed it off. There, I grabbed both of them, pull it through, and then it loops it. Now you want to pull it tight, but not so tight it breaks the hole. So once again, pull it, bring it around, open those two up, run your thread through and pull it, and it loops it around. Okay, take your next signature. Just lay it right on top. Grab a hold of your thread. Bring it over. Run it through the top. Over the top. Through the hole. And it will be looped, a slip knot. Pull it taut enough to where it's, there's not a lot of space in between the signatures, but again, not so much that you split that paper. Did I get them both? Yeah, I did. Okay. Do you see how it's coming together nicely? Okay, our next one. So I hope everyone is doing great. I'm doing fantastic. I think I've told you this before. Once a month, the ladies from church, well, we're called empty nesters. So the women that don't have children at home anymore, we go out to lunch. And so I did that this morning. We meet at around 11 and we went to lunch. It was a lot of fun. There's probably anywhere from, I think the least amount is 8 women. The most we've had was something like, 16 or 17. But it's just fun to hang out together and, have something to eat. I kind of went overboard and I ordered fried zucchini, which was delicious. And oh shoot, now this is just, see, that's what happens is if it starts splitting too much, I just take my scissors and just snip it off a little bit. And then it's easier to put through that hole. But I had fried zucchini. And of course, you have to dip it in ranch dressing. I had that, but then I also had a chicken sandwich, and it had, of course, your lettuce, tomato. It had avocado on it. It was grilled chicken breast on a brioche bun. And of course, because that is so much food, I only ate half of the sandwich. And then I only had 2 of the zucchinis. They were huge zucchinis. And so it's so good to put them in an air fryer, crisp them right up. Do you guys have an air fryer? I'm telling you, I had and have had so many gadgets in my life. But I'm telling you, that air fryer is such a wonderful tool to have in your kitchen. The other thing I do with it is I reheat meat in it. Like, I don't know if you guys do this, but I don't cook chicken at all anymore, like a baked chicken, because I'm telling you, the Costco chickens, if you guys have a Costco near you, those rotisserie chickens you get at Costco are so delicious. And what I end up doing is I get the chicken and I bring it home and I go ahead and cut it up. I take the legs, the drumsticks, the breast, the wings, and I go ahead and cut it up while it's still warm. And then I wrap it in either aluminum foil, usually it's aluminum foil, and then freeze it. And when I buy those chickens, I buy like 4 or 5 at a time. They freeze beautifully. So then you throw them in the freezer, already cut up, and then when you don't know what you want to make for dinner, you just pull out one of those chickens and you let it defrost. And then all you have to do is put whatever piece of chicken you want. Like Pascal, my son, he likes the legs and I like the breast. We throw that in the air fryer and it heats it up and it crisps up that chicken skin. I love chicken skin. Crisp it up and it's just a great dinner. And then all you have to do is add whatever side dish you want to go with it. Like last night we had corn on the cob. It's getting toward the end of the season for the corn on the cob, but we had corn on the cob. I made a baked potato for myself. Pascal is more of a rice person, so I made him rice. And I had a baked potato, and then we had asparagus and then some yellow squash. And so I'll be able to reheat up that zucchini, that fried zucchini I bought in that air fryer tonight for dinner, and it will be delicious. Oh shoot, it split. I suppose if I went through the trouble of getting a needle and threading this, it might go a little bit quicker, but come on, go through, get the other one, get the other one, get the other one. Hi, there it went. I've put this next little bit of footage on fast forward because I think you guys have gotten the idea on how to do this binding. Just trim off the edges if it's a little bit difficult to push those 2 threads through that little hole. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the camera on hold and finish threading these because I think you guys pretty much have seen how to do it. The key is keep everything straight and flat. Bring those threads, one toward the top and one toward the bottom, because then that will make for a nicer looking threading here on the edge. Okay, I'm down to the last little bit, and remember I told you sometimes you need to trim off the edges to make it easy to thread it through. You bring those over, loop one up toward the top, one up toward the bottom, and pull it through, and you have your binding. What I'm going to do on this bottom one here is I'm going to do a double knot, And once again, the wax thread is really nice because it doesn't come undone very easily. So a double knot. And then I'm going to trim it. I'm going to do the same thing for the middle signature. Now, yes, I could have done less thread than what I have here. But it is a little bit of a pain to thread these if it's too short. I didn't learn that. So because the thread is not very expensive, I don't mind wasting some. And actually, you could loop that through a tag. And so I'm going to double knot the top, but I'm not going to cut it off in case I want some dangles. So I ended up adding one more signature because I found this paper and I thought it was so beautiful. But that is how the binding looks. I love the way it looks. And then the journal is so nice and flat as you turn your pages. I think it came out really cute. We've got a couple of pockets already. We've got a top loading one there. I think there's a side loading one up here. Just like that. So we'll be able to put things in there. And then here's my prototype. Let me show you it. I think it also came out quite nice. It's with more of a cream colored or kind of brownish colored thread, but it's cute too. So what we will do is in our next video, we will start adding some pockets and decorating it. Like I said, you have to use cardstock for having it, to have it be strong enough so that when you do this kind of binding, it doesn't tear the pages. But yeah, I think I think they came out cute. So anyway, I will see you guys if not Thursday. I don't know if I have a quick tip for you guys. If I don't have a quick tip, we'll start working on pockets and tags and what have you for these two little journals. If I have a quick tip for you, then we will finish working on these journals on Tuesday. But anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something new today. Thanks and bye-bye.